damage is a little bit less. But in some sectors, like for example, in 2020, we have seen Maersk hit with ransomware for where for 7 days they were not able to actually operate. So which means ships and cargo across the world, they actually came to a complete halt. So that's like one of the major attacks that have happened, where we can see that about there's more than around 50 million, not 50, I guess around 5, or about $5 to $8 million is what they were losing per day. So that's the amount of loss that have happened across the other sectors. But in banks, as you see, in 2021, the average cost for large banks or large banking institutions is about $5.72 million, because for investment bankings, it's like if their servers or if their systems are affected with ransomware, then they'll not be able to execute stocks at the required time. So which means for them, it's going to hit very badly if they're not able to take in the stocks at the right time. So investment banking has also been affected in the last couple of years, that is 2021. Again, pandemic is like the worst period for a lot of sectors, because the cyber attacks have seen tenfold type of attacks, because everybody was in a hurry to put up operations so that people can actually work from home, and a lot of misconfigurations and mistakes were actually made by the companies or the organizations, due to which the attackers found quite easy ways to actually get inside the banks. And there are still organizations we have seen personally, where they are still dealing with malwares, backdoors that they are trying to find now and then, even after a year of detecting the attack and closing the incident. So this is the type of posture, or the problems that a lot of financial sector organizations are actually facing. So now let's also just look at what are the six biggest threats that we anticipate, or the companies across the world anticipate. So yeah, so the six biggest cyber threats for financial services in 2022 at least are, the first one is phishing. Phishing has still been the most effective way of getting initial access to the organization's network. So social still one of the best ways to actually target users and get inside a corporate environment. So the second one is definitely ransomware. So ransomware is again the most sought out cyber attack, because it's very easy way to demand money, or gain a lot of finances by putting up a ransomware. And the reason why ransomware is still in effect, and why the organizations or the security companies are not able to fight ransomware, is because ransomware is actually very easy to make, and it's very hard to detect. It's not like a virus where you, even if you like modify the signatures, the antivirus companies or the EDR companies or other security solutions have become very mature to detect a virus even with polymorphism kind of abilities. But at the same time, they are having a very hard time to detect ransomware, because typically speaking, or technically speaking, uh, while it is very easy to detect virus, because it tries to do certain activities which are definitely suspicious or malicious in nature, the kind of activity that a ransomware actually does is very close with legitimate activity. I mean, in terms of as I said, in technical terms speaking. So which is why differentiating between a legitimate process and a ransomware for an antivirus or for an EDR solution is going to be actually difficult. So this is the reason why ransomware is still very prominent, or very lucrative way for attackers to actually target organizations. And as I said, once a ransomware is launched or attacked, the companies will definitely go into a panic mode, and the attackers can definitely expect some amount of money to definitely come into their pocket at the end of the attack. So the third type of cyber threat that we typically see is SQL injections, local file inclusion, cross-site scripting, and OGNL Java injections. Again, if you see, like there are very few companies who provide these financial security applications to the banks and any other companies in the financial sector, right? So it's like, there's like, a single company which is making like, the applications for this. And typically, 90% of the applications that are made for financial sectors are written in Java. So it's like, once an attacker or a researcher finds a loophole in, any kind of Java applications or applet, servlets, or Tomcat, or whatever the regular Java infrastructure is, it becomes very easy for them to attack, like, 90% of the financial institutions across. Because as I said, there are like only two or three companies, and almost the application architecture is very, very similar to what we find in one bank to other bank. So that also makes the attacker's job actually easy, because they don't have to spend time in actually researching for different types of attacks. It's like, if I research and find out one loophole or one zero-day attack, I know that I can target at least 90% of the financial institutions across the country. So that's the kind of uh, approach the attackers are actually taking, or the advantage the attackers actually have. So SQL injections, local file inclusion, although it is actually very old, the applications unfortunately are still vulnerable to these kinds of attacks. The only difference being that the advancements of security, firewalls, WAF, and these things have made it a little bit difficult to perform these kinds of rudimentary, I would say, exploitation techniques. But still, this does happen. So recently we have seen Cloudflare, or some other web application firewalls from Checkpoint, and other organizations were very badly hit, where they were able to bypass the firewalls, or web application firewalls, or the cloud based firewalls, and they were able to actually hit the applications with SQL injections and so on. Yeah. So the next major attack that we can still see to this day, even after a lot of maturity, is still DDoS attacks. So they are not completely gone. So we can definitely see a great reducement in the DDoS attacks, because the ISPs themselves are quite equipped to defend you, or to give you services where they are actually they are able to prevent DDoS attacks against your organizations. But still, this does happen. And as of now, the motive for DDoS attacks on the financial sector is only to divert. So it's only a divert techniques, where they want to keep the security teams busy dealing with DDoS, or something like that, while actually they try to cover their tracks for the actual exploitation technique that they want to use. So, but apart from that, DDoS itself, the attack is not what the attackers are focusing on. It's merely used for as a diversion tactic. So, and then we have supply chain attacks. SolarWinds has been the biggest case that we have seen so far, but that's not the only case. As I said, there are a lot of applications. The most recent one you might have heard is the Okta. So, as you can see that in the Okta, I mean, we have seen a lot of organizations who have cloud applications. They are using Okta left and right. To manage all of their cloud applications. And one of the problems with these is that if as you can see, if Okta is compromised, and they could actually gain access to the customers of Okta. So supply chain attacks are not gone, and they will not be gone as long as you are completely, I mean, you are dependent on some third party solutions. So, and I mean, in these types of cases, I mean, in most of the cases, it's not like you can actually do something with these supply chain attacks. And this is one of the biggest risk areas for every organization across the world, financial sector or otherwise. And then we have bank drops, which is not exactly a, I mean, I would not say it's a cyber security technique, but it is one of the I would say frauds, or fraudulent activity that banks will have to deal with, where I mean, the attack groups themselves are mobilizing people to open fake bank accounts, or they are trying to fool the banks with creating fake accounts, and then dropping, or using these accounts as a safe haven to store these ransomware money, or something like that. So bank drops also will see a lot of activity, because once for example, this is directly attached with ransomware, because in ransomware, mostly the attack groups will actually ask you to pay in bitcoins or something else, right? So if they have to actually convert that money into something of their local currency, obviously they have to I mean, there's an entire architecture for them to actually how they actually convert this money to maybe USD, or euros, or some other currency. And then from there, they'll try to divide these into multiple pockets, or multiple pockets of small amounts. And that is how they are able to use bank drops as a technique to actually convert bitcoins to a local currency, that which becomes a little bit hard to actually trace that this is actually the attacker, or this is actually the person that you can actually catch, or arrest them. So bank drops will also see a lot of activity in 2022, because we are also tracking the ransomware groups, or where the organizations have transferred their bitcoins to the addresses. So we can still see that lot of attack groups have not cashed in those bitcoins. So which means that whatever ransom that they have received in terms of bitcoins, it is still there as it is in their bitcoin wallets. So which basically means is that there are very few attack groups which have which we were not able to actually trace out, organizations across the world, they are not able to actually trace out how they are actually cashing out, or how they are transforming, or I mean transacting, or converting bitcoins to the local currency. So there have been cases where FBI is actively pursuing to understand what kind of tactics they are using to find out how they are converting this into local currencies. But this is one of the most difficult tasks, because there are a lot of organizations involved. Sorry. uh, yeah, sorry. So yeah, there are a lot of countries actually involved, and getting a jurisdiction access, or getting investigation access across all the companies is a little bit difficult for them. So which is why as I said again, the bank drops is directly related to the ransomware attacks, and this is actively being used to convert bitcoins to local currencies by a lot of organizations. So this is one of the fraudulent activities that the bank should definitely try to find ways to actually close fake bank accounts, and see if they can actually see some kind of pattern in these kinds of fraudulent activities. So moving on, so we also see that banking industry again, this is in anticipation by the organizations on what type of other attacks we can actually see, or what we can learn last 1 year. So in the last 1 year, we have seen about 318% increase in ransomware attacks. So if you see the common way of how the organizations are getting infected, or being targeted with ransomware attacks, as you can see in bullet points here, the business email compromise attacks increased by 4% potentially due to new COVID-19 policies for threat actors. So cryptocurrency miners became the most surging ahead of WannaCry web shares in recent months. So the zero encrypted at least 7 seconds, a slight 2% drop from the 2020. So 184 malicious apps related to COVID-19 scams were detected, 54% of which impersonated TikTok. Again, the goal of each of these techniques, as you can see, is to gain initial access into the corporate network. I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise. Shiva, can you identify and maybe mute?
Yeah, I did, Karthik.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, and the S&P Global has released, this information last year, where the banking sector, as you can see, is becoming more exposed to cybercrime after COVID-19 pandemic. And as you can also see, cyber attacks can harm credit ratings mainly through reputational damage and potential monetary losses. So cyber attacks have had only a limited effect on bank ratings to date, but can trigger more rating actions in the future as cyber incidents become more frequent and complex. Yeah. So there is a graph which basically shows the amount of cyber attacks that were targeted, especially for financial institutions across all the sectors. If you observe, the second is basically public administration. and healthcare. So apart from public administration and healthcare, which is basically government services and all, financial services, as you can see, is very high. 26% of the attacks that we observe are actually targeted to financial institutions. So, and one statistic that we can also observe is that the institutions with 10 billion to 50 billion dollars, I mean banks with such revenues, had the highest number of attacks over the past 2 years. So, as you can see, the amount of attacks that have happened on large organizations, which have the revenues in terms of $10 billion and $50 billion. Again, the reason why these organizations are being targeted, uh, you know, is because the large organizations have also got a large threat landscape. So what we mean by the threat landscape is that the amount of infrastructure these large organizations have is quite huge. So even in India, if you see the top five banks, the amount of IT assets that they hold or they manage or they have inside the organization is actually very huge. So we have we ourselves personally have dealt with at least three of the top five banks, and we have done penetration testing services or other kinds of services to these banks, and we have observed that they have about somewhere between 300 to 600 applications, different applications, and out of these number of applications, there are at least 80 to 100 in average, the amount of applications that are actually exposed on the internet. So there are a lot of financial products that have come up, and almost everything is actually a digital transaction now, and for almost every activity there's an application or a web application or a website created for that. So as I said, about 100 web applications is what average large organizations do have. So which basically means the higher their threat landscape, or the higher amount of web applications that are exposed on the internet, the greater the chance of finding a vulnerability and exploiting that website to actually come into the come inside the organization's network check can happen. So this is the reason why attackers are targeting large corporations, because obviously if it is a large organization, they definitely want to protect their reputation, right? And it also becomes very easy way to actually blackmail them in terms of ransomware or other activity. So even if you're able to breach an organization, and if you're able to take some sensitive data, it becomes very easy for attackers to actually blackmail and then ask for some kind of ransom, to make sure that or the top I mean the agenda for the blackmail would be that they'll say that they'll be able to release this information in the media, which means that's a huge reputation loss, right? So it's like a lot of customers will lose their trust in that particular bank. So they might not invest anymore in that organization, or they might lose a lot of customers because of this mistrust. So which is the reason why targeters are attacking these large corporations, because of the lucrative way of easily attacking these organizations, as well as they care for their reputation, and they are the most easiest targets to actually demand ransom. So the key takeaways from the SMB guidance report, which was released last year, and this year report is in the making. So this month or tomorrow, next month, we'll be able to this year's details. So cyber attacks can harm financial institutions' credit ratings. Accelerated distillation and remote working arrangements increase the financial sector's exposure to cyber threats and can lead to more complex cyber attacks. So financial institutions with weak risk governance are less prepared for, and therefore more vulnerable for cyber attacks. Yeah. So with this statistics, we just try to put the platform across how important cybersecurity is, and how vigilant the security teams across the financial sectors have to be, and how serious they are, that they have to take cybersecurity in total. With this, we'll cover the topic of the statistics and the importance of cybersecurity across, and then we'll move on to some case studies and understand what type of attacks technically happen. So this is to make you understand what are the common ways that the attackers will see from it, or technicality, so that you can be better equipped for in understanding your own infrastructure and understanding how you can provide better security to your organization's infrastructure. So again, Carbonac attack, 2 hours to total compromise is an excellent case study that we suggest everybody to actually go through. So we'll try and give the links to these case studies at the end of the session while the question and answers. So you should definitely go through this case studies where you'll be able to understand how fast are, and once they get this initial access, they will not waste even a single minute to actually come inside and target the organizations to perform lateral movement, or to get what they try to attack your organization for. So Carbonac attack, basically it this case study basically suggests how the attacker group required only 2 hours to perform a total compromise in the sense the attackers were actually able to get into the bank's infrastructure, and they were able to download the most critical data, that is banking account information, credit card information, and so on. I mean, whatever is critical to the bank, they were able to get that initial, I mean, after the initial access, it took them only 2 hours to compromise various critical servers and download critical data, and then later demand ransom for the same. So I also have a case study which which we have done with one of the bank as part of breach attack simulation. So let me just give you a glimpse of what is a breach attack simulation. So everybody may have heard of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, right? So the difference between a breach attack simulation, or maybe people will also know it by the term, I mean, know it by the term as red teaming. So some people call it as red teaming, but the most apt, the apt term for this kind of activity would be breach attack simulation. So what this service is, and what how it actually differentiates from the regular pen testing, is that in the regular pen testing, the scope for the organization who is performing the penetration testing is actually narrow. It's like if you have 50 applications, ask the organization or your vendor to test all the 50 applications as a black box PT, which means you're not going to give any details. Uh, you're not going to give any details to your vendor, saying that this is my for example, my sister bank, I'm so and so bank, and I want you to perform black box penetration of these 50 applications that are exposed on the internet. So this is typically how you would ask your vendors to perform a penetration testing. Uh, yeah. Please make sure you mute yourself. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Sure.
The black, it's like, once they find out if there is a vulnerability, they will just report to you, and the activity is basically completed over there. So but when it comes to breach attack simulation, the difference is that we will not stop at finding the vulnerability, but we will actually use that vulnerability to exploit it. And at the same time, we'll try to go as deep as possible into the banking infrastructure, or to that matter, any organization's infrastructure, to find out how deep can we go, and what is the damage that we can actually do with these types of vulnerability. So that is the primary difference between black box PT, as well as, between the breach attack simulation. So as I said, the difference is only in terms of scoping, or the depth of the attack. But technically, both black box PT or breach attack simulation are quite similar. So the only thing is that again, if you see that the time frame for both of these services, the black box PT might take a month, maybe around 6 weeks to complete all the 50 applications. But when it comes to breach attack simulation, it usually tends to take about 16 to about 20. So it can take up to a quarter, or it can take up to quarter and half or 2 quarters. So basically what we try to do is we group targeting your organization. And again, you might have heard from the news, or you might have seen the SolarWinds issue, or the Okta issue, or any other issue. What happens is that the organizations are not in a position to actually detect sophisticated attacks. So, which means the time the attacker initially targets your organization, and the time that the attacker actually takes to compromise or get initial access to your organization, and to do something more damaging, like for example, installing ransomware, or downloading the data, and so on, is actually very high. The time frame for start of the activity to end of the activity typically lasts for 6 9 months. So in SolarWinds issue, it was about 18 19 months, around 18 to where the attackers were able to compromise SolarWinds in a time span of 9 months. That is between the first reconnaissance activity to full compromise of the SolarWinds case. They took the attackers took about 9 months to get full access to this organization, the SolarWinds, and they took about another 10 or 12 months to target their customers. I mean, the SolarWinds customers. The same thing happened with Okta also, where if you see the incident report of Okta, you can see that they took about 3 to 4 months to actually target Okta, and gain access to the Okta's database, or something like that. And then from that they took about another 3 to 4 months to target the Okta's customers. So what we are trying to highlight over here is that the APT groups are not like they target you today, and tomorrow they get access. So to the organizations is one of the tasks, and specifically in financial sector, or other other critical sector, we do know that hackers do know that the security will be of very high, right? So which means that it's going to be very easy for us to just get inside your systems. I mean, again, Carbonac is an exemption, and again, the I mean, the organizations or the banking institutions are the ones to actually blame here for, but typically that does not happen. So the case study that I'm going to walk you through right now, this case study is our own case study, where we targeted one of the banks, the top 10 banks in the Indian subcontinent. So where we have been given this breach attack simulation exercise, and we targeted this bank, and we took about 14 weeks to target and gain critical access to this bank's infrastructure. So I'll just walk you through of how much time it took us for each step of the activity. So starting with information gathering, information gathering is the most crucial step the APT group or any attacker would actually take for, because the more information that you have on the bank, the better you can strategize or plan out your activity, the attacking activity. So information gathering, what is the typical information that we'll try to gather is we gather and identified any weaknesses which can be exploited. So email IDs of the bank, the insurance, or in whatever products that they have. So typically what we do is we use LinkedIn and hunter.io. So I'll also show you practically in just a minute after each of these steps. So we got Active Directory Federation Service portal of the XYZ group, and we have also found out that 450 plus web and 25 mobile applications of that particular bank is what we have discovered as part of information gathering step. So now let me just share my screen again to also show you technically how this is done. Please let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Not yet, Karthik.
I'll just,
Not
okay.
yet, not yet. It's just saying starting to share content. And at times your voice is breaking, Karthik.
Oh, okay. I'll try
A
and take
little,
care of that. But
for a second or so.
okay, sure, sure. So do let me know if there's a lot of breakage. But anyway,
Yeah, sure.
is my screen visible right now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay. So can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Maybe
we
you can
talked about
zoom out a
information gathering.
little because it's a little
Sorry.
too small. Like, can you zoom out a little because it's a little too small, the font? Yeah, fine.
Okay. This is a typical website that the attacker groups will initially target their reconnaissance from. So I'll just show you a very small example of the top banks that are there in India. To show the approach, we are not displaying any vulnerabilities as such. So let's just say that we have SBI, one of the largest banks in the world. I mean in India. So as you can see, as I type sbi.co.in, so we can extract about uh, how many? Yeah. So as you can see, there are about 640 email addresses that we actually see at the beginning. And what we try to do is, we try to enumerate all of these details. And not only that, what we also do is, we go to linkedin.com and yeah, let me just show you. Yeah. So I can just search for sba.co.in. I'm not trying to target SBI. I'm just giving an example. So no offense. Yeah. So I can again this is people will not think I mean the organizations, especially banking sector, might not see this as a threat, but again this is how the steps usually followed through. So what we typically do is that once you go to LinkedIn and once you type sba.co.in, so what we are trying to do over here is that yeah, see in State Bank of India, we can basically see that there are about 70,000 employees on LinkedIn who are currently active, and they have some kind of LinkedIn profile. So basically, what this basically tells me is that I have about at least, even though you take out old profiles, new profiles, maybe somebody are not working inside the SBI right now, and you take all of this information out. Let's say that only 50% of this population that we are seeing on LinkedIn are actually working inside the SBI. That still is about nearly 40,000 employees, right? So let's say that not even 50, only 25% of whatever profiles that I'm seeing on LinkedIn are actually working in the actual bank. So that still gives me about 20,000 employees, right? So what I'm trying to find, or what I'll try to do initially, specifically for email compromise, is that I'm trying to increase my threat landscape. So in the previous example of hunter.io, the reason why we use hunter.io, the example that I've previously shown you, is because it's verified. Hunter.io verifies that the emails that is shown by the hunter.io is actually verified. So which means I know that these emails are active in their the Microsoft Exchange or whatever email service that they actually work in, right? So this is what I basically try to use hunter.io for. But again, I'll come to LinkedIn, and if you can take LinkedIn's premium profile. So what happens is that you can actually search or enumerate all 20,000 employees of SBI, and you can get their email addresses. So email addresses is the most crucial part here, right? So if the employees of SBI have given their sbi.co.in email address, or if they have entered that email address to sign up or to verify themselves on the LinkedIn, I'll be able to get that email address. So now what happens with having 20,000 email addresses of SBI is that my threat huge now. So what I'll try to do now, that I'll try to find out where all I can actually use this email address to actually log in or brute force. Now again, what happens is that I'm not, I guess, specifically talking about SBI. As I said, I'm only giving you an example. You can take it for any bank in India, or on the Google. Even if you say even if, let's say ICICI or any other, as I said. So the output for me would be the same. Uh, I guess the network is a bit slow today. I'm not sure why. Yeah. Yeah. So here also you can see that I have about 1,22,000 or so. So whatever it is. Again, as I said that minimum say minimum, if you take the employees whose email addresses I can actually gain from this, I will be able to get a good number of email addresses. And then, as I said, what I'm trying to do here is because each of these large organizations, if I target top 10 banks in India, each of these banks, as I said, in an average of 100 applications are actually exposed on the internet. So out of which the bank may, I mean, each bank may have different understanding or definition of criticality. So some banks may keep some applications as critical, and others not. So what we try to find out is that even attackers will not target any critical applications in the beginning, because I know that if I start attacking the critical applications, for example, if I directly from this point I'll go to the internet banking application, if I target my attacks on the internet banking application, I know that my success rate is not going to be very high, because I know that if it is a top 10 Indian bank, their security on the internet banking is obviously very high. So the approach that we typically take, or the attackers typically take, is that they definitely don't want to come through the front door, right? So they want to find a loophole which is very small, and which is not typically in the minds of the security team of that organization. So we want to find that back door in the building which is least protected for. So the least protected websites is what we typically target. Again, coming back to our case study. So if you see the case study, so as you see, we tested random applications for any security vulnerability, which can help us in our breach attack simulations. So we found a input validation issue in one of the application that they were using. Again, all of these targeted web applications are not critical at all. So we do not target critical applications, we target less critical applications. So for example, even though I've crossed this domain, so let me tell you the domain that we targeted, or the website or web application that we targeted to get initial access, was actually a careers application. So as you can see, every banks have the careers application, right? So where you can upload a resume and you can actually apply for a job in that particular bank. Most of the banks have this. I mean, some banks may tell you that send a mail, or send a resume to so and so email. But there are some banks which have created an application to follow through the HR or recruiting process. So this particular bank that I'm referring to has an application where for HR recruiting process, and they ask all candidates to upload their resumes to that application. So as you can see, this is not treated as a critical application by that bank. But one thing that the people, or most of the organizations miss out, is that you are hosting this application in your data center as you are hosting your critical applications. And unfortunately, the one of the worst things that almost all banks have done, or at least most of the banks that we have worked with have done, is that they connect all of these servers with their active directory. So they do not create different forests, or different active directory groups for managing critical and non-critical applications. Unfortunately, they have one single domain, or one single active directory domain, and they try to connect all of these servers, or they host web application servers, non-critical systems, to that particular domain. And one thing that the organizations have to understand is that if you're in a Windows domain environment, or if your bank heavily relies on a Windows infrastructure, so they have to understand that one single loophole and one single email compromise will give me access to domain admins, or active directory very easily. It's just a matter of time. I know that if I can compromise one single web application which is connected to the same AD, or even if it is a different trust forest, it's still fine. So if I'm able to get this one single application compromised, or one single email compromised, I know that I'll be able to reach out to the critical sectors within no time. So that is guaranteed. So again, it only depends on how misconfigured a system is, or what is the kind of security that we have put up. So if you are using a single domain to manage your critical and non-critical applications, and you're not dividing these domain, or these servers in any way. I mean, again, putting a firewall between non-critical and critical servers will not solve your problem, because Active Directory will always be the one single stitching thread, where, if I compromise one server with Windows infrastructure, I can easily compromise. I can use the Windows Active Directory to compromise the main AD server also. So as you can see, if somebody compromises or reaches to the main AD server, the Active Directory server, or you can also call it as domain controller, then it's basically game over. And everybody's target, every attacker's target will always be to reach out to the Active Directory, because once they reach out to the Active Directory, they can manipulate user credentials. They can create their own user credentials. They can assign themselves as administrators. They can give themselves privileges, and they can do 100 different types of attacks internally, through which they can gain access to any critical application that there is inside the bank. So we have also done the same thing. As I said, we have targeted the least critical application that we believed that the organization will see it as. And in the same way, we found out a small vulnerability in careers application, and we targeted that application to actually send malicious emails to the actual employees. So what we have done is that, there's a contact us form in this particular application, where what happens is that, we found a vulnerability where we could actually manipulate the content of the email that is actually going to the HR. So what happens, what is the logic behind this, is that, there's a contact form given, where they say that, if you want to apply job in this particular bank, please fill out your details and upload your resume, and a mail will go to the HR. So this is the logic behind it. So the email that actually goes to the HR is actually a template. So there's a template saying that, hello HR, or dear HR, so and so candidate has applied. Here, this is the link for that particular application, where you can see his resume and other details. So this was the template that was there in the careers application. And anybody, anytime somebody uploads a resume, the email will be sent to the HR or whoever is the relevant person. So we were able to find a vulnerability where we were able to change the message that actually goes to the HR. So now what we have done is, we have sent a mail from this application to the HR. I mean, there's only a single email address that is also fixed, which means that, we'll not be able to change the email address. But what we can actually do is that, we can send the email to HR, saying that, instead of sending this template where it says that, a new candidate has been has been applied, we were able to say that, there's a because it was a pandemic situation, we said that, we are conducting a small campaign. I mean, we posed ourselves as IT security team. So we said that, we are conducting a small survey. Please click on this link to complete the survey. So because what happens is that, if you send this phishing email from any external domain or fake domain. So for example, if you take the example of XYZ Bank, so what we have done is we have also registered a fake domain which will look very similar to XYZ Bank. So even if we do that, the problem that we faced was, even with this fake domain, the mails were not going inside their inboxes, because obviously they have some kind of whitelisting. So if any external email comes to any employee of this particular organization, that you'll get a message saying that, in red, saying that, this mailer is from outside your organization. Be very careful when opening these attachments or opening the links. This is one of the common anti-phishing techniques used by the organizations, right? So even we face the same issue. So we were not able to send emails or malicious attachments to any of the internal bank's employees. So this is the reason why we targeted this careers application. And through careers application, we got that opportunity to send an email to the HR, where, we could change the template. So we could include a malicious link in that template, and we sent a mail to the HR saying that, we are from IT security team. Please, go through this survey. This is to understand whether everything is working as expected. And we have put some fake questions, I mean sample questions, saying that, did you experience any security issue in the last 30 days? Is everything okay? Is there is there slowing down of your laptop in any way? we also asked some a small quiz saying that, what would you do in case of this scenario, that scenario, something like that. But the problem is that, this entire thing is actually hosted on a separate domain, and the malicious link, was actually provided in the template itself. Now, the problem or the reason why this attack technique was successful is because the carrier's website itself is actually sending the email, right? So the email is not, we are not sending the email from any external third party server or, some fake domain. The carrier's application is actually sending the email. So which means whatever email comes from this carrier's web application to the HR, it'll reach to the mailbox, and we will not see any red color message saying that, this is coming from outside the organization. So that was one single technique which led us to get the initial access to the HR's email account. And as I said, once you get even a single person's email account and password, it's basically game over. Because once we were able to compromise one single email account, as I said, the next thing that we have done is that, yeah, as you can see, we have sent phishing emails to a lot of people, but it was unsuccessful. What got successful is that, we were able to compromise that one single email, and we actually used that username and password to actually log into his email account. And at that time, basically this happened last year. So these non-critical accounts, they still did not have the MFA come up. So multi-factor authentication was not there. Again, all the non-critical users, they did not have this MFA. Only the critical users or exposed users had this MFA. So because it did not have MFA, and we have also seen that, some of the non-critical applications, you can directly log in with the username and password without MFA. Only if you try to log into the Outlook or, some critical applications, it will ask for MFA. But for non-critical applications, it wasn't even asking. So we got access to non-critical applications. In any non-critical application, you enter the username and password, we were able to actually log in. I mean, the applications which were connected to AD directly. So as I said, once I get one single successful email username and password, we were able to download about 1.78 lakh employees of personal data, including employee IDs. We got employee IDs, we got their phone numbers, we got their designations, we saw where they are actually working, what is their position, and all of the common information that is stored in Active Directory. Now, obviously, 1.78 lakhs was not the active employees. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Sorry. It was all the information, all the employees that were working in the last 10 or 15 years. So all the employee records were actually there, and we were able to download all that information. Now, because we have about 1.78 employee IDs, now we could do a brute force on a lot of the non-critical applications. Again, as I said, we never targeted non-critical applications in the entire kill chain. We only targeted non-critical applications to gain access to inside the network. And once we got remote shell access to one of the non-critical applications, that is when we started traversing to critical applications. So which means that, from internet, we are never targeting your critical applications. We are only targeting your non-critical applications. And then once we gain access to one of the non-critical applications, Active Directory gives me a very easy way to transverse myself into all the critical applications, because everything is connected once I am inside the network. Outside the network, on the internet, getting inside the Active Directory is an impossible task. You will not be able to do that. So but once even if I compromise one single application in the entire infrastructure, it's very easy now for me to traverse into, or perform lateral movement onto any of the networks. Yeah. So we compromised accounts of about seven XYZ banks users out of 80 user IDs that we targeted. So once we targeted these users, then we were able to target, because again, as I said, we basically compromised a lot of internal applications with the user email IDs and the passwords that we have targeted. So that a lot of non-critical applications we were able to log in, and from these non-critical applications we were able to target internal employees to send a lot of emails. So again, none of the emails were flagged on the email security gateway. Again, the reason is because your email security gateway is configured in such a way that, if an email is coming from an external system to the organization's system, it will actually flag or it will actually stop. But the problem with most of the infrastructure is, if an employee or if an application is actually sending a mail to another employee or another application or something like that, email security gateway doesn't even come into picture, because the Microsoft Exchange directly deals with these emails. So once I'm inside the infrastructure, there is no concept of email security gateway. We were able to upload malicious files to these non-critical applications, and from there we were able to craft an email and send it to various people. And some people even clicked on it, they downloaded our malicious file, which is a docx malware, or in some cases we sent excel sheet malware. And we compromised their laptops or desktops sitting across various branches. So after that, we did not stop there. As I said, this is a breach attack simulation exercise. We went ahead, and using the compromised credentials, we were able to access some internet facing applications also. And then we have tested multiple scenarios. And one of the interesting thing that we have done is that since we have got initial access, or compromise some of the accounts, just to see if we can actually do this or not, we got access to one of the branch manager's email account, right? And we also got a email access of an IT admin, a regional IT administrator or IT security admin. So we got both of their email accounts as well as the passwords. So what we have done is that from IT regional admin or IT security admin for regional, for that particular region, we sent a mail to the branch manager saying that so and so person will come to your branch, and please allow him to conduct a small audit activity. So please give him one of the laptops inside the branch connected to the infrastructure. So we crafted this email and we have sent it to the branch manager. So branch manager has said okay, and he has replied to email. Because we had access to both of these email IDs, we were able to monitor them continuously, so that they will not do any dual verification, or there is no suspicious activity between themselves. I mean, if there was any double verification, like if they wanted some kind of ID, or if it is possible that if branch manager is asking for some kind of authentication, like is this the person you have actually sent or something like that. Because we don't want branch managers to actually send any email to the IT admin, because once IT admin sees an email in the inbox, he will be suspicious, right? So we are monitoring both the emails, and as soon as the branch manager said okay, we will allow him, that email, as soon as it was received by the IT admin, we wrote a small filter in the Outlook, or in the basically in the O365 actually. So where we said that if a mail comes from so and so person, you immediately delete it from the inbox. So it's a small filter that we have actually written down. So using that, we are sure that even if the branch manager contacts this person, we know that he will never be able to read that email. So this was to make sure that we can successfully conduct our exercise. So we were impersonating IT admin. We told the branch manager to allow one of the person. So we actually created a fake ID card. We sent this person to the branch. He was able to get inside, he was able to talk to the branch manager, he was able to tell himself that he came on the note of the IT admin. And IT admin sent sorry the branch manager sent an email to the IT admin saying that your person is here. He will We have already given all of these details. Again, as I said, this will never land in the inbox of the IT security admin, because we are monitoring them and we are deleting the emails as soon as it receives. So IT admin never got suspicious, because he is not seeing any of these conversations. We were deleting these emails both from outbox as well as inbox. So at the same time, branch manager is thinking that he's speaking to IT admin and he's following all the processes. He actually gave us a laptop to one of our consultants who visited that particular branch. And there, as you can see, once we received the laptop, we bypassed BitLocker encryption, because the password was actually very simple. It was the default password, which is capital P at the rate SSW0RD, which is the common password or the default password for a lot of assets if you do a default installation of Windows. So they never bothered to change that. So using that PSSW0RD, we were able to bypass BitLocker, and which basically means is that we if you bypass the BitLocker, you can get into safe mode. If you get into safe mode, you will be able to disable antivirus for that particular laptop. So what we could do was we were able to get into safe mode after bypassing BitLocker, and we were able to get into the safe mode, disable the antivirus, install a malware, and from there we were able to access critical applications also, like the banking application. So there we were able to perform MITM attacks inside that branch only. So we got the teller's username and password. Again, a lot of banks we have observed the same thing. So while there are everything is hosted on HTTPS outside the bank, inside the bank a lot of applications are not hosted on HTTPS. So we found out by doing a simple MITM attack, we got the teller's username and password, and we were able to observe all the transactions that were actually happening. So we could actually change the amount. For example, if somebody deposited 40,000, we could make it as 4 lakhs, or we could make it as 400 rupees. So because we are doing a MITM attack from that particular laptop, and we were able to reach all of these details. So this is one of the case studies that we have done as part of breach attack simulation. And again, all of this information is only known to the CISO, and none of them were able to actually find out what was happening inside the organization. So this is the kind of breach attack simulation exercises that can actually happen, and can actually show you the real security posture of your organization. And this is what APT attackers would have also done. So although may not be they might not be able to send a consultant to the bank, because obviously APT groups will never expose themselves, or they will not actually come visit certain kind of branches. APT groups typically do whatever they can do remotely. But as you see, except for sending the consultant, so even without sending the consultant, we got a sufficient access from the internet to non-critical applications. If this was exploited by an APT attacker, he could have taken about 2 or 3 months, because to get to this particular step, we took about 3.5 months. So in the last 30 days, our activity was very speed up, because in the first 3 months, or in the first 2.5 months, we were struggling with getting the initial access. So we got our initial access around after 65, or around 70th day. 70th day is when we got our initial access, or getting to the non-critical application. But once we got that application, we only took 20 days to perform all of these activities. We were able to download a lot of critical data. We were able to manipulate a lot of transactions. We were even able to compromise an application where we were able to receive the OTPs of the transactions that were done by debit card and credit card. So this is all the examples of how the attackers can actually compromise, get inside the network, target critical applications and gain access. So this was our successful breach case study with one of the banks. So we detailedly explained them, what could be done, what are all the loopholes that were actually we exploited. And now they were able to cover all of those loopholes. Now they started creating multiple domains for non-critical applications and critical applications. So this is actually a pain, because creating multiple active directories or domain controllers which are which have nothing to do with each other is actually a very painful task, or painful way to manage for an large organization. But unfortunately, this is something it has to be done, because you cannot completely rely on Windows security or features, because there is a lot of scope for misconfiguration in the Windows AD. So the amount of options that Windows infrastructure actually provides is very large, and no IT admin in the world can actually confirm, or securely say that I have configured this infrastructure in a secure way. So this is the reason you might have to take very hard steps, or maybe a lot of hard work has to be put up into managing this Windows infrastructure. But again, as I said, simple misconfiguration inside this Windows Active Directory can lead your entire organization open to the attacker. So as I said, it's only one single loophole, or a very small loophole that you might never concentrate is what we target, or for that matter, all APT groups follow the same approach to try and target such organizations or such infrastructure. Yeah. So again, as you can see, the top causes in cybersecurity incident, or the reason why we were successful in our breach attack simulation, sorry, is by admin mistakes. As I said, admin has did not create separate forest for critical and non-critical applications. So one of the major mistake was that. Apart from that, there were a lot of group policy configurations where we observed misconfigurations, and the reason why we could do all of these attacks, and they were not able to know. So it was more common of large enterprises than for mid-sized and small organizations. 33% of large enterprises reported suffering at least one incident caused by negligent admin. So not only, I mean, since work from home began, this increased very high, because as I said, everybody was in a hurry to let employees log in from home. But at the same time, as I said, even if it is not work from home situation, these kinds of security incidents or negligence because of the admin configurations is very common. So in one of our recent scenario, not a banking one, it was related to aviation sector. We found that the domain admin was logging onto one of the web application servers, and we found a vulnerability in the web application server, and we were able to execute a memory dump inside that web application, and we were able to get a domain admin password directly. So from a non-critical application, within a day, we got access to the domain admin password, but it took us around 10-15 days to figure out where we could use his domain admin password without OTP. But as I said, after 10 days, after finding the right point, we were able to definitely, I mean, we were able to get into one of the critical servers using the domain admin password. And we were able to change users passwords and so on, whatnot. So as I said, negligent admin practices is very high, and domain admins should not directly log into any of these non-critical servers or application servers directly. So as I said, the more isolation you do for these non-critical applications, the better your posture would be. So again, 70% of the financial organizations are concerned about insider data theft during the current remote work phase. So again, as you see, this is one of the most concerning activities with work from home scenario as such, because you won't be able to monitor all the employees' activity. So while we have downloaded more than 2.5 GB of data from this particular case study, it was not flagged anywhere. So the reason is again because they are not able to differentiate between malicious activity and legitimate activity. Again, we are not like we are downloading all 2.5 GB at one go. Even attackers across the world do not, I mean, at least APT groups across the world do not follow this, where they will download all 2.5 GB data at once. Even if you see the NVIDIA incident that happened 1 or 2 months ago, you can see that they downloaded some around 20 GB of data from NVIDIA. If you read the incident report of NVIDIA, you will see that this 20 GB of data was copied over a period of more than 30 to 40 days. It's like, as I said, we know that you already have good security measures, and we don't want to trigger any alerts in your SIEM or your SOC. So we will, I mean, the attackers or the APT groups will definitely make measures to make sure that no unnecessary alerts will be shown to you. So this is typically the approach of how the APT groups will take care to make sure that there's no unnecessary alerts, as well as we are very much successful. Yeah. So common anti-fraud services that a BFSI sector can actually take is lookalike domain monitoring, takedown services for phishing pages, brand monitoring, and dark web monitoring for payment card data leaks. So this is like the anti-fraud services to make sure that your banks are not compromised, or the attackers not targeting your customers. Apart from that, we will end this particular session with some of the services you may or you may not be aware of. But to have a better security posture, we'll just try to understand what are the regular security services and what are the extended security services that every bank or banking sector organization should definitely have. So while you may already be performing VAPT, incident response, payment system security assessment, network security review, application security assessment, digital forensics, and incident response, these regular services is something that all banks will definitely follow, because RBI has forced you to, because you have to meet the compliance and so on. But again, please understand that the RBI security compliances, or their advisory is only limited to the minimum amount of security that every bank or every banking sector organization should have. So it's not a gospel, or it doesn't mean that if you follow all the RBI guidelines correctly, you will be secure. That's not the case. So the banks have to be proactive. They have to take their own services, and these extended services is something that you can look in the market to make sure that you are proactively working towards securing your organization. So one of the first things that you should definitely do is threat hunting. So we have been successful in almost all of our exercises to evade your SIM. So even though you get alerts, we were able to bypass all your detection and prevention tools and still get inside the organization and perform a lot of activities. So threat hunting is such a kind of activity which is done on the data of about 6 months to 12 months of data. So 6 months of 12, 6 to 12 months of security data is taken, like SIM log data, security events data, penetration testing data, and so on. Whatever attacks that have happened in the last 12 months, threat hunting will be done based on all of this data. So we will take around 6 to 12 months of log data and we'll try to find out if there are any backdoors inside the entire organization. And not only that, threat hunting can be very, very comprehensive. So threat hunting may mean that at least 20 to 30% of your assets will be monitored by the threat hunting team continuously. So they might actually go access these systems and find out if there is any suspicious activity by actually logging into those systems and checking them. So proactive mitigation. So proactive mitigation is that for each level of vulnerability that could be possible in your application or in your network application or anything else, you will have to find out at least 2 to 3 different ways of mitigating the threat. So which means that at least 2 to 3 different levels of mitigation techniques should have been enabled over there. So as I said, what happens if he bypasses web application firewall and targets a web application. So you should have a second level of technology, or second level of security, where you will have something called as a file monitoring service. So which means that if somebody bypasses your web application firewall and maybe uploads a web shell, so which is a malicious file. So if somebody uploads that, your file monitoring solution should say that a new file has been created, so that the incident team or the SOC team can actually go and investigate why this file was created, whether it was created by the domain admin or the administrator of the application, or was it done by an attacker. So the third level should be to understand, or it could be a detection platform where from that particular web shell, are you able to process what kind of activity has happened. So maybe through EDR solution or some other solution, or for example UEBA or NBA kind of solutions can actually tell you what a user has done with that particular file. What kind of activity did he initiate with that kind of file. So proactive mitigation basically talks about at least having 2 to 3 levels, but not only one level. It's not like you put a web application firewall on top of your web server and feel that you are secure. So as I said, at least 2 to 3 levels have to be there with all the exposed systems as well as your internal critical applications. Also, you'll have to follow the same process. This SOC validation is one of the definite exercises that every organization sector should do. So because you will be investing heavily on SIM infrastructure, you want to make sure that your SIM is actually working for you and not against you. I mean, what I mean by SIM or SOC working against you is, as I said, if you have 100 rupees and if you are spending at least 40 rupees or 50 rupees in your SIM technologies or security solutions, it means that your overall budget is actually less, right? So with this much amount of expenditure, with 50% of your budget being spent on the SIM or the SOC infrastructure, if you're not able to find the attacks in the correct time, then there is no meaning for that entire budget, right? So the whole purpose of having a SOC team is to detect in time and respond in time. So if you're not able to do that, then the entire budget is going for a toss. And yeah, you will not have enough budget to even take maybe response measures. Or for example, tomorrow ransomware has happened, you will not even have enough budget to actually pay off the ransomware attacker and get your data back. So I mean, you should not be in that position, right, where you should always have enough budgets, or this activity should not create deep trouble for your organization, so especially for small and medium banks maybe. So SOC validation should definitely be done because you are investing heavily on that. You have to make sure that it is working for you and not against you. So red teaming is again a definite exercises where both the attack team and the defending team will sit together, and they will try different attack simulations. They will see how the blue team is actually responding, how the investigation is actually being done, so that the red team will be able to follow train the blue team to understand and explain them how, if an attack happens, they should actually detect it and respond to it, or how the investigation should happen, or what is the different ways that information can be modified, and how they can investigate all of those attacks. So red team and blue team will actually make your blue team sharper. So there's a lot of simulation attacks that can happen, which can make your blue team sharper and sharper day by day. So purple teaming is again, a very deep dive exercises, similar to red versus blue team. But again, where there will be three teams. There will be red team, there will be blue team, and there will be purple team. So instead of only red teaming launching the attacks, there will be purple team, uh, you know, uh, you know, monitoring in between, or launching different types of attacks, and red team actually trying to do some kind of exploitation in real, in real time. And then blue team will try to monitor, and purple team keeps helping both the organizations, sorry, both the teams to be successful. So purple teaming is also an insightful exercise, but again, only the matured soc can actually perform purple teaming exercises. So gray box testing is also important, which means letting a consultant come inside your organization. It's a gray box testing is nothing but a rogue employee. You cannot trust all of your employees to be good, right? So you have to assume one of your employees is definitely has bad intentions. So how do you understand if one of your employee is a rogue employee, and if he's trying to take data out, or he's trying to do some harm to your organization? So gray box testing is one thing which is very much necessary, so that you will be able to understand that a standard employee, maybe a teller, or somebody else, if he is given computer access, what all damage he can do is something that you need to understand, so that you can take precautions to make sure that the rogue employee scenario is covered. Again, breach attack simulation is what we have spoken so far. So this is something that each organization has to go through. At least in critical sectors, you should definitely go through, so that you get an accurate picture of what will happen to your organization if an APT group targets you. So are you completely secure, or what kind of damage you can actually expect, is something you can definitely know by breach attack simulation. But just doing penetration testing or something like that may not give you this insight. So this insight will definitely work in your favor, and or it will be very much beneficial for you. So with this, I'll just close this seminar, and we'll open the platform for questions and answers. So Shiva, I can.
Thank you so much, Karthik. If there are any
Thank you.
questions, you may raise your hand. I'll unmute you so that you can ask your questions. And in the meanwhile, we have also our director, Group Captain P. Anand Naidu, joining us. Sir sir is a retired Indian Air Force officer with more than 20 years of experience, and now he's our director. Sir, would you like to address the gathering? Sir, you're muted.
Initial part because I was
Sir, you're
traveling.
muted.
Am I still muted? Very good morning to
Yeah.
everyone.
No, sir. Now you're audible.
Thank you very much, and apologies for being delayed because I was traveling and I couldn't reach on time. Some part, and I'm sure all the
Sir, your
participants
voice is breaking.
Is breaking, so I will mute my video. Okay, is it okay now? Is it better? Is it better?
Yeah, better, sir. Yes, sir, better.
Thank you very much for all of you. On a Sunday morning, you all came, and I'm sure Karthik's session has benefited you, and you have some takeaways as far as this session is concerned. We will be taking all questions that come up, or you may unmute yourselves and ask questions a little while later. In the meantime, I just want to speak on a couple of topics that Karthik has touched upon. Even otherwise, whatever services that need be taken by the companies, banking sector, or some financial, insurance sector, all of you, even otherwise, the networks need be protected. And what Karthik has spoken, what way ISAC can support you is one thing that I just want to tell you. while ISAC is collaborating with government bodies responsible for the cyberspace protection in India, whether it is at the national level or some of the states also we are collaborating. Huge collaboration is on in the state of Karnataka. Of course, the AICTE collaborations are there. You may visit our website to know the collaborations. I would not like to elaborate on that. But yes, we have ISAC, the non-profit foundation is providing 29 training programs, and one more training program is going to be launched very soon. That will become the 30th. That program is known as Data Privacy and Data Protection Professional Training Program certification. It's going to be launched in the month of May. Otherwise, whatever services he spoke about, almost in all areas we have training programs. We also have a very phased manner of learning, wherein an individual is initially initiated into some and exposed to all kinds of crimes that take place in the cyberspace. That is the beginning of the journey for a cybersecurity professional in ISAC. Whether it is under the National Security Database, whether the certification is through National Security Database or it is empaneled in the National Security Database, the initiation is through actual awareness on all kinds of crimes that are committed, whether it is in or it's any other. And through the professional ethics at workplace, there are various processes in that, including fidelity guarantee through a public sector insurance company. That means anyone who is trained by us in cybersecurity will also be coming to you when you hire them with an insurance that if they do something wrong, you will get your money back. If you hire someone, he runs away with your laptop, the insurance company will reimburse you. You hire someone, he's and you lose me, or there is a loss that has happened and someone is claiming against you, that will be refunded, or you will be cushioned by the insurance company. That kind of a fidelity guarantee is there. There is a rating. There are a whole lot of processes that are there. Then we have the next place into the technical training foundation, the basics in information security, because of shortage, a lot of people are getting trained directly as forensicators, directly as reverse engineers, which we do not support. We say it's like going for a postdoctoral or MS level without even going through the graduation level. So initial stage, one has to understand what is cybersecurity field, what are the roles, what are the functions, what are the escalation matrices, what are the ways one can actually be able to address the network problems or the problems in a company, basic level, at the very entry level. That is the basics in information security. Then we put through all of them. We recommend that they go through penetration testing, because that is the bread and butter of every cybersecurity professional. After that, it is bug bounty researcher, where the fear of being in the cyberspace goes out. You can also earn while you are working from home. That's the bug bounty researcher program. Around that, we have some service. I'll just come to it quickly. And of course, thereafter, the specializations like forensics or whatever SOC or threat hunting, whatever he has talked about, threat management courses. This is how we have a way forward for the people who come for cybersecurity training in ISAC. So a whole lot of programs are there. There are management, techno-managerial programs, like I was talking about, the data protection one program, then the governance program, GRC, governance, risk mitigation, and the compliance program, then the scholar program. They are all there. Now, what I also want to tell you is that we have some incubations like the cyber range itself. Cyber range simulation has various labs which are available. To have the labs established in your own company, or you can take subscription on a license mode, and you can use those labs for your training, your recruitment, your on-the-job training, or testing people who are migrating from one domain to the other domain within the cybersecurity. The labs are available. You can avail these services. And around those labs, and also the Hyacinth, the SOC maturity testing tool, adversary attack emulation, there you have also as a service also, of course. Then we have Breachpoint. Breachpoint is a company which constantly monitors your cyber assets. Also, before any hacks into you, we tell you what are the vulnerabilities that you have. You can register your company either for a free POC or at a nominal fee. You can register and get your company protected in that manner. The vulnerability testing is done. We have about 650 odd bug bounty researchers who are working constantly on this particular aspect. Breachpoint is the company. The last thing that I want to say is the professional ethics at workplace. All the students of AICTE are expected to go through the professional ethics processes, and when you recruit next time, please ask the students have they gone through AICTE approved professional ethics certification or not, because that is a national priority. AICTE wants it to be done, and we are doing it in collaboration with AICTE. It's a joint initiative between AICTE and the ISAC. So these are the things that are available in case if anyone wants to avail these training services or the labs and other products that we have, or the breach point where you want to protect your networks because you do not have huge security machinery within the company. It is possible that you may have one or two people, and it's even if you have, it is always better, like what Karthik says always, it's always better to have a third party do your VAPT once a while at least. So that part, you leave that headache to us, we can take care of that requirement for you. And professional ethics, as I said, is for everyone, whether it is students or professionals. Unfortunately, companies are losing money in that the triad of people, process, technology. People are important, and even UN says cybersecurity cannot be achieved without the professional ethics, and that is where we come from. These are the few things that I wanted to just speak about. In case if anyone has any requirement, please do contact us in all these areas, or anything to do with cybersecurity. We have huge community of more than 12,000 people on our mighty platform. I'll request Sheba to post the link for you join me. When you want anything, just post it and you will get instantaneous reply from the community. There's so many people, right from General Rajesh Pant, who is till teachers. So many people are there. The topmost leaders are there in that community, and the parents, teachers, counselors, lawyers, police, almost every sector they are there. So you may benefit from the community. The community is going to help you. Okay, these are the things that are there. So now we are open. Karthik is available for taking the questions. What is this? Tarun is asking, discuss this thing. What is this? Is asking about. Let us see one by one. Thank you, Gayatri. Digital financial forensic analyst qualification skill requirement of the DFFA. Digital financial forensic analyst person required for forensic analysis of electronic data evidence, which includes offsite restoration and examination of electronic data. Minimum knowledge and skills required for this purpose. Okay, you are advertising, Tarun, or you want Karthik to comment on this? Tarun, you may unmute yourself and speak. You want us to tell people that you are giving this service, or you are wanting Karthik to comment on this?
Taran, you have unmuted. You
No,
may
you
speak.
don't.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Tarun.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, this is the actually new area for the financial structure, which is we are accepting that the white collar crime is happening, sir, in very different manner. So in forensic area, we are creating some people and some person which is accurate in forensic and also financial fraud acquiring, sir. Two things.
I fully agree with you. That is why, in fact, some of our programs are open to even the chartered accountants and the CAs and the insurance MBAs. Our programs are open, including the basics to forensics, to the risk and risk mitigation and governance program, the scholar program. They are all open to CAs, banking officers, and the chartered accountant, of course, the company secretaries, MBAs, management students who have experience. These training programs are open to them also. I fully agree with you. This is a niche area, and some of them, of course, will also need to go through the data protection processes and learn those things also. I agree with you. What is the point that you want to make?
So this is the particular requirement of industry. If we are working in as a digital forensic analyst, but there is a particular requirement with the financial structure also. So if we are
Yes.
if we are going with the particular in some manner to collecting any kind of data in something in a raid or any incident response, sir. So there is some particular electronic data which is in a financial manner, sir. So we have to understand how to collect that particular data and how to analysis at that time to particular things, sir.
I agree with you. Like the Serious Fraud Investigation Office is there under the central government, and this
Hello.
I know, sir, we lost you.
yes, I agree with you, Tarun. We
Yes, sir.
have the Serious Fraud Investigation Office under the central government, which hires people from different disciplines to come together and investigate. Now, to obviate that requirement, we are training people, whether it is chartered accountants or company secretaries or banking officers. We are training them to be able to do that function in a very holistic manner. That training is on already, and people are getting trained with us. In fact, the first batch of governance program had chartered accountants as part of it. They have done extremely well, and they are very happy. And the data protection program that is going to be launched, we already have a huge response for that. Yes, I agree with you. We need people with accounting background to come into this particular field also. Why only accounting background? Lawyers, for they have to fight the cases at the end of the day. These insurance companies, they have to defend their viewpoints in the courts, or at least feed the lawyers who may not be well versed with these processes, because briefing a lawyer itself is a huge task. I am a lawyer. I know how difficult it is, because lawyers are not the gods to know everything at one go. So I agree with you, and that is how we are training people as cyber lawyers. We are training people in various other areas, and we are training people from various spectrum, various disciplines, various functionalities to come and get trained in cybersecurity. It is also one of the reasons why we say cybersecurity is not for only engineers. No, sorry, least of all, only for computer engineers. No, not at all. Computer engineers have to go through the cybersecurity to be able to do secure coding or protect their own softwares. Others are there to do in their own functions, in their own functional areas, to be able to protect. Thank you very much for raising this important point. Thank you. Thank you, Tarun. Any other questions? Anyone? Karthik is there in case if anyone wants to ask any question, we would be happy to answer those questions. In fact, Karthik has helped a lot of international banking companies also in investigating some of the frauds. And as the case studies he has discussed, and in fact, he has much more experience in handling these topics. Recently, we had a case in Mauritius, one of the banks, huge fraud has taken place. And based on our report, they could win the case at the highest court of Mauritius. We're very happy. It was there were 4 or 5 countries involved where the matter was related to, including the Gulf. So we had to do a lot of hard work. Karthik and his team has really worked very hard, and finally we got the case in our favor. I mean, not in our favor, our client's favor, because of the forensics report that we gave finally. Any questions? No questions? People are dropping out. So Karthik, there are no questions, it seems. Anyone wants to unmute? You may please unmute everyone, Sheba. Is it possible? Please
It's
unmute
done, sir.
everyone in
It's
case
done.
if anyone.
It's done.
Thank
can
you.
unmute and
And
speak.
anyone wants to speak? Yeah, anyone wants to speak about the training courses, the labs that are there? Canara Bank is using cyber range labs. Virtual labs are being used by Canara Bank. There are many banks who are using. We are servicing SEBI. We are servicing NSDL. And we are the preferred partner for cybersecurity services in TCL. We provide a lot of services to the TCL in their game of things. Scheme of things. If anyone wants to know anything about these things, whether it is services, labs, training courses, or the professional ethics part, you want to implement it, because finally it is the man behind the machine that matters. Frauds happen because of the greed, or maybe because people want to make quick money. So there is a process. There are processes which can prevent that from happening. in case if you all want to go for that. In fact, all of you are most welcome to visit our websites, register yourselves for the Clean Exit Professional Certification or PTA Code certification for the students. It matters a lot. Any questions? No questions? Anyone wants to unmute? No? In that case, on behalf of ISAC, the website is strongly typed. Shiba, please put a full stop instead of comma. Okay, Tarun, my suggestion only. This can we create white collar crime investigation. Yeah, we are already doing it, Tarun. It's not creating. We are already doing it. I mean, what Karthik has discussed over the last one hour plus is, yes, what is being done, and we need, like you said rightly, we need more and more people to come into this this field. We agree with you. That's correct. We fully agree with you, Tarun, and we can definitely take it forward. Thank you very much, Tarun. Any other questions? Any points? Anyone wants to say anything about the utility of this webinar itself? If anyone wants to say anything, anyone has any comments? No. You know, we will be encouraged to organize such webinars in case if we get some feedback, whether negative or positive. I mean, all this is feedback. You feel that no, this is fallen short of expectations, you can unmute and say anything. Free to say anything on the comment on the webinar per se. Thank you, Sajita. Thank you very much. Thank you, Durga. Okay, Karthik, thank you very much. In that case, I think we have no more questions on this. Your session was either overwhelming or clearly understood and lucid. So in either case, we are very grateful. Okay. Thank you very much, Karthik, and I'm sure we will keep doing it. Thank you, Harshendra. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we have a lot of people from banking sector. I'm sure people will benefit from such webinars, and we will also try and get in touch with them separately or one-on-one. Probably maybe things will be more useful. Abhijit, thank you very much. Amlata, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much. You have all come on a Sunday morning. It's very, very essential that we convey our gratitude to you. Thank you very much. Because spending an hour on a Sunday is not, it doesn't come so easily. You must have left a lot of own work and come here. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. And spread the message around in case if anyone wants any services. Thank you very much. Anyone wants any services around or any help, Harshendra, thank you very much. You want to say something, Harshendra? No.
No, nothing.
Okay, thank you. Anyone needs, suddenly someone is attacked, someone is breached, like we keep getting calls, whether it is at the personal level, at the lowest level where the online bullying and sexual offenses, those things also are financial frauds against the individuals, banking fraud that happen. From there till the networks getting breached, all of that we address. Of course, most of them are free of cost also. We don't charge money for the individual problems. We try and do resolve. We have thousands of cybercrime first responders, cybercrime intervention officers. They are all there to help you. In fact, yesterday till late night we were trying to address one particular case where one teacher was cheated. It happens in thousands. It's happening in lakhs. It's happening. So we have all of you. The network is there. The network of people are there to help in case anytime. There to help you. Thank you very much, Alamanda. Thank you all. Thank you very much. We will close this session now. Thank you, Shiba. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Karthik and Group Captain Naidu. Thank you, and thanks to all the participants who have joined us today. For any information, you can just visit our website. Thank you so much.
Also. Thank you, Krishna Priya. Thank you, Suni. Thank you, Tarun. Thank you, Hashim. Thank you very much. Thank you, Evadia. Thank you all. Thank you, Mayur. Thank you. Anyone who was shying away from asking question and still wants to ask, you can ask. We are available for next maybe 30 seconds. Who are hesitant to ask can ask now. Number 100, you can always ask. No harm. Thank you. Thank you, Manohar, for that help. Thank you. Thank you for organizing this webinar on a Sunday. I think it's been very fruitful. The numbers show that people have also come in large numbers, and we are grateful to all of them, and also the backend team which has worked, including Srinivas, Shriba, Yatinder, Swati, all of you. You have worked very hard. Harsh, everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
We are
Dhanushka.
closing
Thank
the
you very
session. Thank you.
Yeah, I think they are not keen to ask anything, although we are giving opportunity to ask even now, but they are not very keen. Probably we have overrun the time. Thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Shiba. Thank you all. Thank you, team.
Thank you, sir.
You may close it as soon as the number comes down below 50.
Yes, sir.
No, not right for us to close when large number of people are still around with us. If they can spare their time, we can so. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you very much. Anyone from the banking sector here? Banking sector, working in the banking sector? Anyone now who are left out now? Anyone wants to unmute from the banking sector? Anyone working in the banking sector or financial service or coding or doing software for financial services or insurance sector? No? No one? I just want to know how useful is this session. That's all we wanted to know. Abhijit, you are from which sector? Abhijit? Banking? How useful was it, Abhijit, for you? Do you think this session was useful? Or you think there's something that can be done better? Any suggestion to improve it? Any suggestions, Abhijit? No? Thank you. Thank you very much. We have much more to offer, and I'm sure in the future, whatever webinars are conducted, I'm sure we will together know more and more about the new things that are required to be known by us so that we can make this sector more safer. That's the objective. We have, in fact, we have just collaborated with Mahe, Manipal Academy of Higher Education. I'm sure Shiba would have told. That's focusing on banking and financial services and insurance sector cybersecurity. There's a whole lot of focus on the BFSI sector in Manipal Center of Excellence that we are creating. So I'm sure, especially people around Mangalore, as well as the banking and financial services players there will learn more and more about it very soon in the near future. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Manipal Institute of Technology and ISAC are collaborating to establish cyber range simulation platforms and center of excellence there for the BFSI sector. We have lots of training programs, lots of services around it, lots of consultancy available through that center of excellence. Yes. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you very much. Pravalika is from which sector? Pravalika? if I may ask you? Pravallika? Are you a student or working somewhere? Thank you, Satish. Thank you. Pravallika, don't want to say? You can post it on the chat box in case if you don't want to unmute and speak. No? No problem. Firdosh, where are you working, Firdosh? Firdosh Anjal? Which sector? Firdosh? Thank you, Shiba. I think people are not very keen to ask anything more. So probably they would come back to us, write to us, and maybe they will visit our websites, all the websites that we have, and maybe seek through direct one-on-one communication with us. We thank Karthik for a wonderful session, and while everyone wants to listen, they are not wanting to speak. So unless someone speaks, we can't more. So they have to speak to enable us to speak more.
Yes, sir.
So next time, I think you will have to ask them in the link itself. You have to probably ask questions that they want to pose, so that we have a set of questions that can be answered.
Sir.
If they are not answered during the session. Karthik covers elaborately, so mostly it doesn't leave anything to be asked, but still, we would love to hear from them.
Sure, sir.
We'll do that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. I think a wonderful session we had on a Sunday. We will keep having this on weekends more often so that people can come and know different things, what is happening around in the cyber. Thank you very much. Thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Have all of you have a nice time. Protect yourselves from the corona as well as from the cyber criminals, both. Because both of them, we don't know when they will hit us, when they will impact us. That's the problem. Very quietly, they will attack us. Corona is spreading very fast again in some of the places. And the cyber crimes are in any case increasing, whether it is because of the Ukraine war or otherwise. Things are not as good as we wish them to be. You people may be aware that there is a national cyber exercise that is happening in India, and a lot of things are happening at the national level. But at our level also, all of us are warriors. We have to protect ourselves, otherwise it will become very difficult. We are all warriors. The mere fact that you have taken out time on a Sunday to come here, you have already decided to be a warrior, whether you are part of the cybersecurity field or not. You have come here, which means you have decided to be a warrior and fight this menace. And for that, we thank you all on behalf of ISAC as well as the nation, because all our actions will make the national cyberspace safe. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. In fact, a couple of days back only, the National Security Advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, has made a statement that any breach is likely to impact the national security. This is what we have been trying to say for over 3 years now, ever since we have started the cybercrime first responder program in a new form. Since then, we have been saying breach at the lowest level may lead to the breach at the highest level in the country. And we all know that it has happened many times, whether it is ISRO or whether it is nuclear power plant or the mighty NIC computers. Everywhere it has happened through breach at a very low level, and through that to the highest level it has spread. And yes, any breach can lead to national security breach. We need to be careful. We need to be cautious and always on guard. We can't lower our alertness. That's the problem. So thank you all. You have come here to be part of this whole mission of community building against the cyber criminals. While they are colluding and collaborating, let's also become part of a movement to fight the cybersecurity problems that are faced by us, our country. Let's face the cyber criminals in a befitting manner. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you. Have a nice Sunday. Thank you all.
So closing the session.
I mean, we have said below 50, so we'll have to wait for a little more time. They're all there. They're all ready to listen, not wanting to speak only.
Excellent.
I think they are all liking the session so much. We are very happy that yes, we have so many people even after such a long time. It shows how keenly they are interested in making sure that the cyberspace is safe, and how probably they are thinking how they can contribute towards making it much more safer than what we are in a state now. We are better off, definitely yes, but not as well as we would love to be, as well as the Prime Minister or the National Security Advisor would wish to be. The Supreme Court says the community building and community participation is the only way. I think this is one way of doing that. And we must compliment all these people. I'm sure most of them would have joined the Mighty Network today if they are not already part of it. We are having the hackathon. Many of them would have joined the hackathon as well. There is a video released on how to play the CTF. I mean, playing the CTF is not a very tricky art. Only thing one has to take a little interest. All of you can go and play the CTF there. It's there. We are organizing at CIT Coimbatore. It's open for professionals also. Generally, the CTFs are for students, but we have opened it for professionals. You have an opportunity to win huge prize money. So most of you who are working professionals also, you can also do that. That's also available. So there are opportunities to be part of that community and show our solidarity behind the government, that yes, we too shall contribute towards making the cyberspace safe. That's what it is finally. What have I done to make the cyberspace safe is the question that I need to ask. And by being here for such a long time, you have already asked that question, and you have answered also that yes, I am there. Together, we will make this cyberspace safe. That's what. And you have shown that you are a cyber warrior. That's what. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you for showing solidarity in this movement. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. You may close this session, Shriba. Thank you. Thank you, Karthik. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karthik, and thank you, sir. We are closing the session. Thank you all. Thanks to all the participants. We are closing the session.